sports will be coming your way with a sports senator. Everything you need to know, the updates happening in the world of sports will bring you up to speed. And Insights will come your way right afterwards. Hosted by Lawrence Moite, of course. They're looking at generation at risk. And the focus would be the growing menace of drug abuse among Nigerian youths. We're hoping to have Babafemi, Director of Media and Advocacy, NDLEA, on the program today. You don't want to miss it. Let's begin with news across Africa, where Guinea-Bissau's former prime minister is planning a return to the country. He's not just coming back to the country, he hopes to run for the presidency. Simões Pereira, who leads the opposition African Party for the independence of Guinea and Cape Verde, made the announcement in Lisbon. He settled in the Portuguese capital shortly after President Embalo dissolved Guinea's National Assembly in 2023. Since then, he's not been back in his country. So he was speaking to the Guinea-Bissau diaspora, and he said he feared for his safety in returning to the country, but said that it was his duty to continue the fight. Thus, he would return to the country and he would run for presidency. Anyway, just so you know, Embalo has said that the opposition leader, that is Simões Pereira, can return without any problem. But he has warned him against contesting the results of the elections once they go to the polls in November and the elections are held and results are announced. He must accept the results of the election. He must not contest the result. That's the condition. Now, if he does run, this will be his fourth attempt at the presidency. He's run 3 times before. So if he does run one more time, it will be the 4th time he's running. But since 2023, he's not been back in his country, and this time he's saying he's coming back, and he's coming back with a bang. Today, Tanzania's Electoral Commission said that it has disqualified opposition presidential candidate Luhaga Mpina for the 2nd time. Well, Mpina led the Alliance for Change and Transparency. That's the country's second largest political opposition party. The commission's move comes just days after Mpina successfully challenged the first decision in court to disqualify him. He went to court and said it was not within the jurisdiction of the party to disqualify him. Well, the ruling party forced the commission to approve Mpina's nomination, but that decision has now been reversed. So the Electoral Commission said he is therefore disqualified. He cannot run for presidency for the 2nd time, talking about Luhaga Mpina. So what this means is that Mpina's exclusion leaves Suluhu Sahan as the only person to clear run at next month's presidential election. He came into power without being directly elected. It was the death of the previous president, President John Magufuli, in March of 2021 that had him come into power. So the leading opposition party was disqualified in April after failing to sign the Electoral Code of Conduct. And that was part of calls for electoral reforms in the country. As it stands now, this means it's just going to be an easy, smooth, no opposition ride for the incumbent to just come back into power. Anyway, there was a tweet that was made by the UN Special Procedures where it says, UN experts alarm the pattern of enforced disappearance and torture of silent opposition and critics, with 200 cases of enforced disappearance recorded since 2019. So they are warning about the pattern of repression in the lead up to the general elections in Tanzania. Remember, the general elections will be happening next month. This is September, so by October, they'll go to the polls and the country will decide. But hey, on that decision, Luhaga Mpina is not on the list of the people that may be decided upon anymore. Citizen FM 93.7. We're taking news across Africa. Let's see one more story before we take a break. Ghana is in the news. Well, the country has said 14 people were deported from the U.S. Some of them have been sent to Nigeria and others to the Gambia. 14 West Africans were deported from the U.S. to Ghana. He said they've all been sent to their home countries of Nigeria and the Gambia. 13 Nigerians and 1 Gambia. They've left for their home countries. So authorities in Ghana defended accepting the deportees on humanitarian grounds. They said it was the least that they could do. The foreign minister of Ghana, Samuel Okudzeto, pushed back on criticism that the decision was an endorsement of Trump's migration policies. They said that Ghana was just enabling U.S. President Donald Trump to continue to randomly just send people to whatever country of choice. But Ghana has said this is the least that they could do. I mean, it was a humanitarian work that you're doing, according to Ghana and their explanation. Anyway, critics have said that Ghana accepted a third country deportees ground, and that does not speak well for the entire country of Africa. At a press briefing in Accra, Ablakwa said Ghana did not receive any financial compensation from the U.S. over the deportation, just to clear things out, because speculations were already awry, saying that Ghana may have been receiving funding from the U.S., and that may have informed the decision to accept nationals from other countries to be deported into their country. If you remember, once the U.S. proposed the same deal to Nigeria, and Nigeria said, no, we're not ready to accept deportees into our dear country. We already have our own situation we're dealing with as a country. So having random people just deported from whatever country into our country might just pose a bigger security risk for the people of Nigeria. We should rather be seen as a country that wants to look out for its fellow Africans. That is why we made it clear to the Americans that we will not accept $1. I just made the quote from the minister. That's the rationale he gave behind the government's decision to accept deportees from the U.S. Well, Nigerian government said it was not briefed about the 13 nationals that were sent to Ghana, and that they had received Nigerians that were deported directly from the U.S. Nigeria said, we're not aware of that. We're not aware of that. But as it is now, Ghana have said, hey, those that were deported into our country, will send them back to their respective countries.
The issues. Everybody respected that because it was coming from the president.
Theory behind it, the way the people took the battle in their hands.
Some civil servant retire without a roof over his head.
The cause.
You cannot be divulged from those who cause the crime. Honestly.
The passion.
You must have national spread. So where is it?
Why are you so concerned about that? He said money was...
I never...
No.
The platform is always the same.
Insight on Citizen FM 93.7.
The source is constant.
My name is Lawrence Umoite.
There is always an opportunity.
Tomorrow, Insight returns with another interesting...
Insight with Lawrence Umoite on Citizen 93.7 FM Abuja. Be part of the experience.
Omi tuntun tìrú ẹja tuntun wà ní odò ẹ̀tún máa gbọ́.
Ẹ̀yin ìyá mi, ẹ̀yin bàbá mi tí wà ní agbègbè Àbújá àti jákèjádò orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà. Rédíò kan ṣoṣo tí gbogbo èèyàn fẹ́ràn láti máa gbọ́, tó fúnni nímọ̀, tó fúnni lọ́gbọ́n, tó fúnni lóye. Citizen FM ní 93.7 ẹ máa gbọ́. Èmi Àlímọ̀t Àyìnlá Ọmọwúrà ló sọ fún yín pé gbogbo ìgbà tí ẹ bá ti ń gbọ́ Citizen FM 93.7 inú yóò mọ̀ dùn. Thanks for listening.
7:47 a.m. Citizen FM 93.7, bringing you news updates across Africa. We just saw reports from Guinea-Bissau, Tanzania, and from Ghana. Let's shift focus now to Kenya, where we're hearing that the former deputy president has declared that he would oust William Ruto come 2027. What this invariably means is that he'll be running for the presidency. That was considered a very dramatic escalation of the political tension in Kenya. Gachagua has publicly declared his intention to challenge his former boss in the 2027 elections. He was speaking in Muranga on Saturday, and he positioned himself as the most courageous and capable candidate to end Ruto's presidency just after one single term in office. And that will set the stage for a bruising political battle within the heart of the coalition support base in Kenya. While he was addressing supporters, he said, "I have returned to announce that I have agreed to run for the presidency of the Republic of Kenya." That was how he declared it. And fingers are crossed, because during his time in office, some people opined that, he did a good job. Some others are of a different opinion. But hey, that's how politics goes. It will always depend on what side of the divide you're standing on. If you're for, you would always defend his actions, and if you're against, you'd always see why he shouldn't be given the opportunity to run a second time. But either ways, we know that come 2027, he'll be running for the position of president. Whether he wins or not would largely depend on the people and how they vote during the elections. It'll be later on in 2027, but fingers crossed on how that pans out. Politics, and more politics. Malawians are heading to the polls today. It's going to be a fiercely contested presidential election. Former President Peter Mutharika is attempting a comeback. He's actually 84 years old. He led the country from 2014 all the way to 2020, and is taking on incumbent Chakwera. And he's accused Chakwera of wrecking the economy and mismanaging key sectors. As I said earlier, it's going to be dependent on what side of the divide you're on. So for, they would always find a reason to defend theirs. Against, they would always find a reason to speak against. Well, Mutharika says he's returning to rescue the nation, and his supporters are saying that he's the best that Malawi needs at the moment. Now, with the country facing economic hardship and growing frustration, voters will decide whether or not he would be the one to, stick it out with Chakwera, who is the incumbent in the country. Mutharika, he lost to Chakwera in 2020. There was a rerun election in that year after Mali's constitutional court annulled the 2019 elections. It was actually considered controversial at the time. So judges cited widespread irregularities, ballot tampering, and the use of TPEX correction fluid to alter results. So the court's decision marked a very dramatic milestone. It was the very first time a presidential result was overturned in Malawi. And now he said, well, he's had his time to brood. Now he's coming back, and he's coming back really loud. Sounds a lot like what we're going to be seeing in Guinea-Bissau and Kenya and Tanzania. Well, Tanzania has been disqualified, so it sounds a lot like what we're going to be seeing in Guinea-Bissau and Kenya. Fingers crossed. It's an interesting political season ahead in Africa. Off with this quite enthusiastic story from Morocco, where farmers are expecting a bumper harvest this year. Midsummer temperatures combined with last year's rainfall have helped to ripen the dates and to improve their quality. You know, dates, debino, how's I call it, debino? Anyway, yeah, the dates. They're expecting to have very bumper harvest in Morocco. Now, what this translates to is that if they have enough in the country, they're able to even export to other countries in Africa. A lot of countries in Africa stands the chance to benefit of this bumper harvest. In September, the market is full of dates, and thank God production has been good. That's what one of the farmers says. Regarding the harvest, you have to shake the palm trees well to make the dates fall. You have to be careful and make your way out of the palm grove after you're done. And this year, we've recorded really increased yields, and we're very grateful for it. Date markets have been lively since the start of the season, with strong demand from customers and traders seeking the best quality at very competitive prices. I see news across Africa, and it deals with agriculture and how that we're getting it right. It just makes me so super excited. Anyway, that's much we can take today on news across Africa. Stay with us at 8. We'll be switching things up and seeing what's happening in Nigeria. Jambo Bwana, the mushrooms from Kenya, is on the song.
Sema jambo, jambo, jambo bwana, jambo bwana. Habari gani? Habari gani? Mzuri sana. Jambo, jambo bwana. Habari gani? Mzuri sana. Tuimbe, tucheze sote. Kiswahili ni lugha ya Afrika. Jambo, jambo bwana. Habari gani? Nzuri sana. Tuimbe, tucheze sote. Kiswahili ni lugha ya Afrika. Sema jambo, jambo, jambo bwana, jambo bwana. Habari gani? Habari gani? Mzuri sana. Jambo, jambo bwana. Habari gani? Mzuri sana. Tuimbe, tucheze sote. Kiswahili ni lugha ya Afrika. Jambo, jambo bwana. Habari gani? Mzuri sana. Tuimbe, tucheze sote. Kiswahili ni lugha ya Afrika. Leo tufurahi, hakuna matata. Reggae babu kubwa, hakuna matata. Burudani safi, hakuna
Kiswahili ndiyo lugha yetu ya Afrika. Upende usipende utapenda kwa hakika. Hop, 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 hop. Michael Jackson kaimba Kiswahili, Lionel Richie kamfuata ni wa pili. Hop, 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 hop. Mukae hivyo hivyo siku zote kwa amani, maisha Afrika yatakuwa na thamani. Hop, 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 hop. Tuimbe, tucheze, tuseme Kiswahili, supu ya uyoga ni tamu kweli kweli. Hop, hop, hop. Hakuna matata. Hey. Hakuna matata. Hey. Hakuna matata. Hey. Hakuna matata.
Jambo bwana, habari gani? Nzuri sana. Wageni mwakaribishwa Kenya yetu, hakuna matata. Jambo bwana, habari gani? Nzuri sana. Wageni mwakaribishwa Kenya yetu, hakuna matata. Ngiti jambo bwana, habari gani? Nzuri sana. Wageni mwakaribishwa Kenya yetu, hakuna matata. Jambo bwana, habari gani? Nzuri sana. Wageni mwakaribishwa Kenya yetu, hakuna matata. Ngiti jambo bwana, habari gani? Nzuri sana. Wageni mwakaribishwa Kenya yetu, hakuna matata. Ngiti jambo bwana, habari gani? Nzuri sana. Wageni mwakaribishwa Kenya yetu, hakuna matata. Ngiti jambo bwana, habari gani? Nzuri sana. Wageni mwakaribishwa Kenya yetu, hakuna matata. Kenya nchi nzuri, nchi ya maajabu, nchi ya kupendeza, hakuna matata. Kenya yetu, hakuna matata. Hakuna matata. Hakuna matata. Hakuna matata. Hakuna matata. Kenya wote, hakuna matata. Hakuna matata. Hakuna matata. Kenya wote, hakuna matata. Hakuna matata. Hakuna matata. Hakuna matata. Hakuna matata. Hakuna matata. Kenya wote, hakuna matata. Jambo wote, hakuna matata. Hakuna matata. Hakuna matata.
Kẹ́kùnrin ó gbọ́ kó sọ fún toko kẹ́dùn gbọ́kọ̀rọ̀ kó bẹ̀ pé ètò kan tí yóò ṣọ bí òṣùmọ̀ lójú ọ̀run ìgbádùn rẹpẹtẹ pẹ̀lú baba Kẹ́ngbe tí yóò ṣọ lórí iléeṣẹ́ Citizen FM 93.7 Àbújá. Ìgbádùn rẹpẹtẹ pẹ̀lú baba Kẹ́ngbe ètò alárin yóò máa mìlú títì bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti agogo 9 sí agogo 11 alalẹ́ ọjọ́ ìsinmi Sunday. Ọmọ yín olólùfẹ́ yín ni olú tọmọrí wílẹ́mì mc tiza bàbá kéńgbé ọ̀rọ̀ fún ẹ̀ jagunmọ́lá fìdàgbáyé làtọ́kùn ètò ẹ má gbàgbé o ìgbádùn rẹpẹtẹ pẹ̀lú bàbá kéńgbé lálálẹ́ sunday ni o bẹ̀ láti agogo 9 títí dé agogo 11 gbáko lórí iléeṣẹ́ alálùbáríkà citizen fm 93.7 àbújá àbúlùdù dé o ẹ má mí ṣe o mẹ̀sì kọ̀kú.
Stay connected to the heartbeat of the nation's capital. Tune in to FCT Today every Wednesday, 12:30 p.m. on Citizens 93.7 FM Abuja. Get the latest updates on news, events, and happenings in and around the Federal Capital Territory. From politics to entertainment, business to culture, we have got the inside scope. Join the conversation, stay informed, and be ahead of the curve. Don't miss FCT Today every Wednesday, 12:30 p.m. on Citizens 93.7 FM Abuja. FCT Today, your window to the FCT every Wednesday, 12:30 p.m. on Citizens 93.7 FM Abuja.
Citizen FM Abuja. Now we be the voice of the people. Citizen FM, Citizen FM. Make we join our hands to build a nation of our dreams.